The Barefoot Boy by John Greenleaf Whittier. Read for Librivox by Christy Nowak. Blessings on thee, little man, barefoot boy, with cheek of tan, with thy turned-up pantaloons, and thy merry whistled tunes, with thy red lip, redder still, kissed by strawberries on the hill, with the sunshine on thy face, through thy torn brim's jaunty grace. From my heart I give thee joy. I was once a barefoot boy. Prince thou art. The grown-up man only is republican. Let the $1,000,000 ride. Barefoot, trudging at his side, thou hast more than he can buy, in the reach of ear and eye. Outward sunshine, inward joy. Blessings on thee, barefoot boy. Oh, for boyhood's painless play, sleep that wakes in laughing day, health that mocks the doctor's rules, knowledge never learned of schools, of the wild bee's morning chase, of the wildflower's time and place, flight of fowl and habitude of the tenants of the wood, how the tortoise bears his shell, how the woodchuck digs his cell, and the ground mole sinks his well, how the robin feeds her young, how the oriole's nest is hung, where the whitest lilies blow, where the freshest berries grow, where the ground nut trails its vine, where the wood grape's clusters shine, of the black wasp's cunning way, mason of his walls of clay, and the architectural plans of gray hornet artisans. For his chewing books and tasks, nature answers all he asks. Hand in hand with her he walks, face to face with her he talks, part and parcel of her joy. Blessings on the barefoot boy. Oh, for boyhood's time of June, crowding years in one brief moon, when all things I heard or saw me, their master, waited for. I was rich in flowers and trees, hummingbirds and honeybees. For my sport the squirrel plied the snouted mole his spade. For my taste the blackberry cone purpled over hedge and stone. Laughed the brook for my delight, through the day and through the night. Whispering at the garden wall, talked with me from fall to fall. Mine the sand-rimmed pickerel pond, mine the walnut slopes beyond, mine, on bending orchard trees, apples of Hesperides. Still, as my horizon grew, larger grew my riches too. All the world I saw or knew seemed a complex Chinese toy fashioned for a barefoot boy. Oh, for festal dainties spread, like my bowl of milk and bread, pewter spoon and bowl of wood, on the door-stone, gray and rude, o'er me like a regal tent, cloudy-ribbed, the sunset bent, purple-curtained, fringed with gold, looped in many a wind-swung fold. While for music came to play of the pied frog's orchestra, and to light the noisy choir, lit the fly his lamp of fire. I was monarch, pomp and joy waited on the barefoot boy. Cheerily then, my little man, live and laugh as boyhood can, though the flinty slopes be hard, stubble-speared the new-mown sward. Every morn shall lead thee through fresh baptisms of the dew. Every evening from thy feet shall the cool wind kiss the heat. All too soon these feet must hide in the prison cells of pride, lose the freedom of the sod, like a colt's for work be shod, made to treat the mills of toil, up and down in ceaseless moil. Happy if their track be found never on forbidden ground, happy if they sink not in quick and treacherous sands of sin. Ah, that thou couldst know thy joy ere it passes, barefoot boy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Bridge by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for Librivox.org by Arctura. I stood on the bridge at midnight as the clocks were striking the hour, and the moon rose o'er the city behind the dark church tower. I saw her bright reflection in the waters under me, like a golden goblet falling and sinking into the sea. And far in the hazy distance of that lovely night in June, the blaze of the flaming furnace gleamed redder than the moon. Among the long black rafters the wavering shadows lay, and the current that came from the ocean seemed to lift and bear them away. As, sweeping and eddying through them, rose the belated tide, and streaming into the moonlight the seaweed floated wide. And like those waters rushing among the wooden piers, a flood of thoughts came o'er me that filled my eyes with tears. How often, oh how often, in the days that had gone by, I had stood on that bridge at midnight and gazed on that wave and sky. How often, oh how often, I had wished that the ebbing tide would bear me away on its bosom o'er the ocean wild and wide. For my heart was hot and restless, and my life was full of care, and the burden laid upon me seemed greater than I could bear. But now it has fallen from me, it is buried in the sea, and only the sorrow of others throws its shadow over me. Whenever I cross the river on its bridge with wooden piers, like the odor of brine from the ocean comes a thought of other years. And I think how many thousands of care-encumbered men, each bearing his burden of sorrow, have crossed the bridge since then. I see the long procession still passing to and fro, the young heart hot and restless, and the old subdued and slow. And forever, as long as the river flows, as long as the heart has passions, as long as life has woes, the moon in its broken reflection and its shadow shall appear, as the symbol of love in heaven and its wavering image here. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. A Cradle Song by W.B. Yeats. The angels are stooping above your bed, they weary of trooping with the whimpering dead. God's laughing in heaven to see you so good, the sailing seven are gay with his mood. I sigh that kiss you, for I must own that I shall miss you when you have grown. End of poem.
Death the Leveller by James Shirley. Read for Librivox.org by Laura Dornan, August 2nd, 2006. The glories of our blood and state are shadows, not substantial things. There is no armour against fate. Death lays his icy hand on kings. Sceptre and crown must tumble down, and in the dust be equal made with the poor crooked scythe and spade. Some men with swords may reap the field, and plant fresh laurels where they kill, but their strong nerves at last must yield. They tame but one another still. Early or late they stoop to fate, and must give up their murmuring breath when they, pale captives, creep to death. The garlands wither on your brow, then boast no more your mighty deeds. Upon death's purple altar now see where the victim bleeds. Your heads must come to the cold tomb. Only the actions of the just smell sweet and blossom in their dust. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dedication for a Plot of Ground by William Carlos Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Davis Drake in Long Branch, New Jersey, July 31st, 2006. This plot of ground facing the water of this inlet is dedicated to the living presence of Emily Dickinson Welcome, who was born in England, married, lost her husband, and with her 5-year-old son sailed for New York in a two-master. was driven to the Azores, ran adrift on Fire Island Shoal, met her second husband in a Brooklyn boarding house, went with him to Puerto Rico, bore 3 more children, lost her second husband, lived hard for 8 years in St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, San Domingo, followed the oldest son to New York, lost her daughter, lost her baby, seized the 2 boys of the oldest son by the second marriage, mothered them, they being motherless, fought for them against the other grandmother and the aunts, brought them here summer after summer, defended herself here against thieves, storms, sun, fire, against flies, against girls that came smelling about, against the drought, against weeds, storm tides, neighbors, weasels that stole her chickens, against the weakness of her own hands, against the growing strength of the boys, against wind, against the stones, against trespassers, against rents, against her own mind. She grubbed this earth with her own hands, domineered over this grass plot, blackguarded her oldest son into buying it, lived here 15 years, attained a final loneliness, and if you can bring nothing to this place but your carcass, keep out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Duel by Eugene Field. Read for Librivox by Christy Nowak. The gingham dog and the calico cat side by side on the table sat. 'Twas 12:30, and, what do you think? Nor one nor t'other had slept a wink. The old Dutch clock and the Chinese plate appeared to know, as sure as fate, there was going to be a terrible spat. I wasn't there. I simply state what was told to me by the Chinese plate. The gingham dog went bow wow wow, and the calico cat replied meow. The air was littered, an hour or so, with bits of gingham and calico, while the old Dutch clock in the chimney place up with its hands before its face, for it always dreaded a family row. Never mind, I'm only telling you what the old Dutch clock declares is true. The Chinese plate looked very blue, and wailed, "Oh dear, what shall we do?" But the gingham dog and the calico cat wallowed this way and tumbled that, employing every tooth and claw in the awfulest way you ever saw, and oh, how the gingham and calico flew! Don't fancy I exaggerate. I got my news from the Chinese plate. Next morning, where the two had sat, they found no trace of dog or cat. And some folks think unto this day that burglars stole that pair away. But the truth about the cat and pup is this: they ate each other up. Now, what do you really think of that? The old Dutch clock, it told me so, and that is how I came to know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen, read by Brennan Holtzclaw of Moberly, Missouri. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through the sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshod. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf, even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas! Gas! Quick, boys! An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone was still yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea, I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If, in some smothering dreams, you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his hanging face like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores of innocent tongues. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven by W.B. Yeats. Had I the heavens' embroidered cloths, enwrought with a golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloth of night and light and half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet, but I being poor have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams beneath your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. End of poem.
Hysteria by T.S. Eliot. Read for Librivox.org by Pete Marchetto. As she laughed, I was aware of becoming involved in her laughter and being part of it, until her teeth were only accidental stars with a talent for squad drill. I was drawn in by short gasps, inhaled at each momentary recovery, lost finally in the dark caverns of her throat, bruised by the ripple of unseen muscles. An elderly waiter with trembling hands was hurriedly spreading a pink and white check cloth over the rusty green iron table, saying, "If the lady and gentleman wish to take their tea in the garden, if the lady and gentleman wish to take their tea in the garden." I decided that if the shaking of her breasts could be stopped, some of the fragments of the afternoon might be collected, and I concentrated my attention with careful subtlety to this end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
If by Rudyard Kipling. Read for Librivox.org by Betsy Bush. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you give your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. End of If by Rudyard Kipling.
It's a Queer Time by Robert Graves. Read for Librivox.org by Pete Marchetto. It's hard to know if you're alive or dead when steel and fire go roaring through your head. One moment you'll be crouching at your gun, traversing, mowing heaps down half in fun. The next you choke and clutch at your right breast, no time to think, leave all. and off you go to Treasure Island, where the spice winds blow to lovely groves of mango, quince and lime. Breathe no goodbye, but ho for the red west. It's a queer time. You're charging madly at them, yelling "Bag!" when somehow something gives and your feet drag. You fall and strike your head, yet feel no pain, and find you're digging tunnels through the hay in the big barn. 'Cause it's a rainy day. Oh, springy hay and lovely beams to climb. You're back in the old sailor suit again. It's a queer time. Or you'll be dozing safe in your dugout. A great roar. The trench shakes and falls about. You're struggling, gasping, struggling, then... Hello? Elsie comes tripping gaily down the trench, hanky to nose. That Lyddite makes a stench, getting her pinafore all over the grime. Funny, because she died 10 years ago. It's a queer time. The trouble is, things happen much too quick. Up jump the Boches, rifles thump and click, you stagger, and the whole scene fades away. Even good Christians don't like passing straight from Tipperary or the hymn of hate to Alleluia chanting and the chime of golden harps, and I'm not well today. It's a queer time. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. Read for Librivox.org by Pete Marchetto. Currently in Guilin, Guangxi Province, in China. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borrow groves, and the mome raths outgrabe.
Beware of the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub-jub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch.
He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back.
And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, O frabjous day, callooh, callay.
He chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borrow groves, and the mome raths outgrabe. This recording is in the public domain.
Les Silhouettes by Oscar Wilde. Read for Librivox.org by Kristen Hughes. The sea is flecked with bars of grey, the dull dead wind is out of tune, and like a withered leaf the moon is blown across the stormy bay. Etched clear upon the pallid sand, the black boat lies. A sailor boy clambers aboard in careless joy, with laughing face and gleaming hand. And overhead the curlews cry, where through the dusky upland grass the young brown-throated reapers pass, like silhouettes against the sky. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Letter to Her Husband, Absent Upon Public Employment by Anne Bradstreet. Read for Librivox.org by Vienna Drake, July 27th, 2006, Allentown, Pennsylvania. My head, my heart, mine eyes, my life, nay more, my joy, my magazine of earthly store, if two be one, as surely thou and I, how sayest thou there, whilst I at Ipswich lie, so many steps, head from the heart to sever, if but a neck, soon should we be together. I, like the earth this season, mourn in black. My sun is gone so far in zodiac. Whom whilst I joyed, nor storms nor frost I felt, his warmth such frigid colds did cause to melt. My chilled limbs now numbed lie forlorn. Return, return, sweet soul, from Capricorn. In this dead time, alas, what can I more than view those fruits which through thy heat I bore, which sweet contentment yield me for a space, true living pictures of their Father's face. O strange effect! Now thou art southward gone, I weary grow the tedious day so long. But when thou northward to me shalt return, I wish my sun may never set, but burn within the cancer of my glowing breast, the welcome house of him, my dearest guest. Wherever ever stay, and go not thence, till nature's sad decree shall call thee hence. Flesh of thy flesh, bone of thy bone, I here, thou there, yet both but one. End poem. Public domain.
Little Boy Blue by Eugene Field. Read for Librivox by Kristi Nowak. The little toy dog is covered with dust, but sturdy and staunch he stands. The little toy soldier is red with rust, and his musket molds in his hands. Time was when the little toy dog was new, and the soldier was passing fair. And that was the time when our Little Boy Blue kissed them and put them there. "Now don't you go till I come," he said, "and don't you make any noise." So, toddling off to his trundle bed, he dreamt of the pretty toys, and as he was dreaming, an angel song awakened our Little Boy Blue. Oh, the years are many, the years are long, but the little toy friends are true. Aye, faithful to Little Boy Blue they stand, each in the same old place, awaiting the touch of a little hand, the smile of a little face. And they wonder, as waiting the long years through in the dust of that little chair, what has become of our Little Boy Blue, since he kissed them and put them there. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Requiescat by Oscar Wilde. Read for Librivox.org by Kristen Hughes. Tread lightly, she is near under the snow. Speak gently, she can hear the daisies grow. All her bright golden hair tarnished with rust, she that was young and fair, fallen to dust. Lily-like, white as snow, she hardly knew she was a woman, so sweetly she grew. coffin board, heavy stone lie on her breast. I vex my heart alone, she is at rest. Peace, peace, she cannot hear lyre or sonnet. All my life's buried here, heap earth upon it. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. The Second Coming by W.B. Yeats. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the centre cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming! Hardly are those words out, when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man, I gaze, blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs, while all about it reel shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed in nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born? End of poem.
Sonnet on Approaching Italy by Oscar Wilde. Read for Librivox.org by Kristen Hughes. I reached the Alps. The soul within me burned Italia, my Italia at thy name. And when from out the mountain's heart I came, and saw the land for which my life had yearned, I laughed as one who some great prize had earned. And musing on the story of thy fame, I watched the day, till marked with wounds of flame the turquoise sky to burnished gold was turned. The pine trees waved as waves a woman's hair, and in the orchards every twining spray was breaking into flakes of blossoming foam. But when I knew that far away at Rome, in evil bonds a second Peter lay, I wept to see the land so very fair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please contact Librivox.org. When You Are Old and Grey by W.B. Yeats. When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book, and slowly read, and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled, and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars. End of poem.
A White Rose by John Boyle O'Reilly. Read for Librivox by Christy Nowak. The red rose whispers of passion, and the white rose breathes of love. Oh, the red rose is a falcon, and the white rose is a dove. But I send you a cream-white rosebud with a flush on its petal tips, for the love that is purest and sweetest has a kiss of desire on the lips. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.